We're
We'll
gonna
just
will.
let
Okay.
we'll just let people know, hey, there's gonna be a dog barking in this episode, everybody.
Yeah. Perfect.
What's up, my loves, and welcome back to the show.
Welcome back.
We are here together. Alyse, oh my God. For everyone who has not, who doesn't follow me on Instagram and you don't know that Alyse is not only one of my besties, but someone I used to live with. I love you. I'm so grateful that you're here. And I'm so grateful that I get to share your genius on the show.
Why, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. I feel like this has been a long time coming. It's crazy to think we lived together for a whole year. And I saw you in your PJs with your cute little mugs of tea 24/7. And yet we never did this until now.
Until now. And you are snowed in Austin. How you feeling?
I'm in a hotel room, a little stir crazy. So this is a fun outlet to express and talk and hang out outside of the hotel. So thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, dude. You're someone who, from the moment I met you, I admired you. You have this quiet power to you that is so palpable and potent when people are around you. It's this soft fierceness, this soft and solid type of beingness. You are one of the strongest people that I know, and I don't think people realize that when they first meet you, but you have a resilience and a power that is just so magnetic and so powerful. Do you know that about yourself?
You know, Sam, I so appreciate that. And I do know that now. For a while, I think I wasn't sure of that. But after a plethora of fun challenges, I now understand. I'm like, yo, I've been through a lot and I'm pretty strong, but also I'm quiet, so you wouldn't know.
Yeah. I met you at the peak of a lot of intensity in your career. It
Mm,
was when you were shifting from being a raw vegan and you were going on a carnivore challenge.
yeah.
And I personally have never known anyone to take as much hate as you, but also with so much grace. And I know
Mm,
how hard it was for you, but you were so graceful in the process. And I know what you went through is people's worst nightmare or their
oh,
perceived
yeah.
worst nightmare. You know, it's like, I'm not going to do the thing because what if this happens? Or what if I am rejected? Or what if I am projected onto? Or what if I am judged? Like, you had it to the nth degree. The amount of hate videos about you for making that shift is
Yeah.
just ridiculous. And yet you still embody so much compassion and so much grace and give people space to hate you and to project that onto you.
Yeah.
So, can you just speak to that? Let's just like crack it open there because I just feel like that's one of watching you go through that and witnessing you go through that was just so mind-blowing and heart-opening for me.
Yeah, I can speak into that. I want to preface this by saying, since I'm in this hotel room right now, I've got my golden doodle silo with me, and you listeners, you may hear a little growl, you may hear a little bark. So that is just the cutest little baby behind me hanging out. So
He's the best, truly. I miss living with him, dude.
yeah, my little fluffy. Okay, so yeah, speak into that. I absolutely do think that what I went through is a lot of people's worst nightmare. What's crazy is it wasn't my worst nightmare beforehand because I didn't even know that like that intensity of hate and criticism and projection was even like I was just a little naive. I was like in my own little bubble, doing my thing, sharing fearlessly, and then yeah, I shifted my diet and being a face of veganism for years having one of the largest YouTube channels focused on that, sharing what I eat in a day and yada yada. It was a big transition for sure. And ultimately, I had to be honest with myself and honest with my community of here's where I'm at, here's why I'm making this transition, and let's embrace change and embrace well-being and try to be the healthiest versions of ourselves. And so my journey took me on an interesting direction towards that. Um, yeah, I mean, for gosh, probably for a year to a year and a half, I felt a little bit paralyzed with what was going on, having hundreds of YouTube videos made about me and criticizing my journey, painting this picture of what other people thought my intentions were and who I was as a person from the sliver of what's shared online. And then that's not even to mention like all the comments that I received on my videos, the messages that I would get on Instagram, like really rough stuff. And it took me on this beautiful path that was so not beautiful at times, but ultimately looking back in hindsight, it was beautiful because I learned so much about myself and on a whole nother level, released the need for approval from other people. So I could honestly, I could talk about this forever. So that's kind of my snapshot of it.
Do you feel now that you've gone through that, you've gone through what people are most scared of, does it make you more resilient now to create, to be authentic, to be you, and push the edges of what you see to be true in the world?
100%. 100%. Um, what one of the biggest things that I've learned is that we are all well, all of our truths are valid. So for a good period of time when all of these projections were made and these assumptions and other people sharing their opinion, Alyse is this, Alyse is that, I so desperately wanted them to see the purity in my soul. I'm like, dude, I am a young woman trying to figure this thing out. And I do not have any bad intentions. Like, literally, all I'm trying to do is figure out my journey and grow and support others. And I just wanted people to see that. And I'm like, why are you not seeing that? Dude, you were living with me when I hopped on calls. I hopped
That
on,
was insane, by the
yeah.
way. Tell that story.
Yeah. So I was so much wanting to understand, where are you coming from? What is the missing link here? Why are you seeing me as literally the devil, like a scam artist, this like person with corrupt intentions? How are you seeing that when my reality is so different? And so I invited people who were making videos about me to hop on a Zoom call with me. And I had, gosh, I don't know, 5 or 6 calls with some of the people who are making the most videos about me, like literally dedicating their channels to talking about me. And I invited them to share, like, what's going on here? What info are you gathering? What feeling are you getting from my videos? Like, what's going on? Um, because I just wanted them to see my purity. And what I learned was some of those people, after I literally spoke with them face to face, continued on with making videos about me. And I was like, huh, that's interesting. Okay. So, after a lot of therapy sessions and energy work sessions, what I began to realize and now very much realize is they are so valid in their truth and their perspective. And I actually don't need them to understand me or to share the same truth that I share in order to do my thing, in order to show up big, and yeah, just like do my thing and help people and go after my mission. But they're totally valid to think what they think, and that doesn't need to stop me. Um, Actually, our close friend Rachel shared with me, what does she say? This sentence that's like, "I know who I am, and that's not up for debate." I think that's kind of like the takeaway from all of this for me.
What is so just awe inspiring is your ability to hold everyone's truth and give spaciousness for everyone's truth to be there. And I
Mm,
know we're talking about it in a business sense of you and a hater. And I want people to know you also have this ability in friendship and in relationship
mm.
as well, which is incredible. So, can you really speak into that? How did you develop that skill to allow people, to allow yourself to just really be the space holder for all of it to exist? Because I think what's happening right now in the world is we are creating echo chambers of our own belief system. So
Mm,
I will only follow people who believe this. I will only
mm.
subscribe to this. I will only be friends with people who believe this. And we're creating these cage condensed worlds where there is only one viewpoint and one reality. And if you step out of that reality, I'm going to ostracize you and you're done.
Yeah.
Whereas you have the ability to just hold it all. So I'm curious, how did you get to that place where you always like that? And for people who desire that, what's your message for them?
Yeah, that is a good freaking question. Um, I believe that there has been like this innate space holder capacity in me since I reincarnated onto Earth. So there definitely is this level of like, I've always been a very curious person. I've always been someone who asks the deep questions and really wants to understand people. I'm just like so curious. Like, who are you? Why do you think the way you think? What do you think? Like, how do you feel? Just all of that goodness. I've always kind of always been that person who just like goes there in conversation. um, I think one way to relate this to something that you and I have in common, which is like energy work, being with our emotions, is there's this level of importance. In order to process something, in order to move through something, in order to accept something, we need to come with this curiosity, this lighthearted, like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, I'm so curious. Like, oh, how do you feel? Oh, how does this part of me feel? Oh, why is that there? Instead of from this like intense penetrating judgment and like perspective of like it should be different. It's just like, oh, that's interesting. That's there. Oh, can you tell me more about that? um I think it's really important literally in all facets of life within ourself. When we notice a pattern, oh, that's interesting, instead of like, oh, I'm so stupid, why am I doing this again? Just like having that lighthearted, like kind of like airy space holding safe, like, oh, that's okay that a part of me did this, or oh, that's okay that somebody else thinks this other thing. It's beautiful. We're all different. We're all unique. And yeah, how can we bring more curiosity and love and acceptance to other people and their experience and their perspectives? It feels really important.
It feels like fairy energy, like,
Mm,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
It's like this like mystical, like I'm so curious. I think, curiosity is the catalyst for so much clarity,
Mm,
for so much connection, for so
mhm.
much transformation. When we can lead with curiosity for ourselves, most importantly, and then of course, when we do it for ourselves, it percolates into everything else. It allows us to be just beings of just constant infatuation and being in awe of this human experience that we all agreed to embark on. And
Yeah. I
yeah,
think
it's like
one thing that you asked is like what's like one takeaway or one step that others can take to be able to really hold space for people with differing perspectives, differing opinions, especially fuck, dude, in the age that we're in today, there's a lot of room for polarization and conflict and controversy and all of that. And I think the easiest little step is practicing curiosity and just strengthening your awareness on when you're actually taking a more penetrating approach of like, my truth is the right truth and this person's freaking wacko. Like, just be aware of when that comes up, and in that moment be able to start shifting towards curiosity. Like, oh, I want, what if there's no right or wrong? I wonder if I can learn more about this person. Like, I want to get closer to this person and understand and be this all encompassing like force of love and acceptance.
we have this tendency as humans to have right or wrong, black and white, up or down, left or right. Like it's like take a side and own it and claim it. And that's your identity and that is who you are. And not enough of the human collective gives themselves the spaciousness or the grace to just live in the gray and
Mm,
just be a little bit more fluid and not
yeah.
holding things and gripping life.
Yeah.
Because the fact of the matter is like we're always evolving, we're always ascending, we're always growing. Our belief systems have to grow, evolve, and ascend, or else we're going to be stuck. Our soul's like, I want
Yeah.
to grow. And if our ego doesn't have the wisdom and the curiosity to question the things that we believe in so that our systems can grow, we just end up like, ee,
Yep.
ee.
Yeah, like halting the brakes. It's like, I want more, but I'm cutting myself off from it.
Does not compute right now. What's that accent that you do? It's like German, I think.
I don't know. It's like, hey, my name is Barta.
Yeah. Alyse is the best at accents. So good.
I'll keep them to a minimum. Sometimes when I get on podcasts, I was on a podcast like a few months ago, and the person who was having me on, they were like, "Dude, I don't think you spoke in your normal voice this whole time." And I'm like, "Oh shit." Okay, so I'm like intentionally speaking as my normal voice right now.
Eric says to me, he goes, "Do you and Alyse?" I think this might be the first time that you and I actually are talking normally because
Yeah.
Eric's always like, "You and Alyse always talk in these weird voices."
Yeah, I know. We're gonna keep it together here.
We're gonna keep it professional for everyone. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Oh,
Talk. Oh, go ahead.
no, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, let's talk about conscious language.
Okay. You want
So,
me to dive in?
so yeah, and here's the thing, like when I hear people speak, I can tell by the words that they choose to use what they believe to be true about the world and themselves. And
Yeah.
so much of what we talk about is just, oh, hang on one second. Did you hear that?
Oh, yeah, I just did.
Hang on one second. Let me shut this off. So much of the words that we use is completely unconscious. And I know you've been on this path of cleaning up language, being so discerning about the words that you use because you know it creates your reality. So, can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh my God, I would love to. So, a few months back, I read this book called Conscious Language. Hands down, the best book I've ever read. I kid you not, like more than half, no, almost all of the pages are folded over. And I have like underline, I'm like, this is so important. This is so important. Oh, this is it. And basically, what this book outlines is a revolution to our language system. So it paints the picture of like here's where we're at with our language system. So much talking about what we want, what we don't want, um, complaining, like speaking into the things that are just not going well for us. And there's different levels of communication and different levels of consciousness. And it requires you to expand your consciousness to speak on another level of language of certainty and declaration. And so, a couple of the yeah, and then also like yes, the basics of we are actively creating our reality through our thought language, through our communication with other people, what we're saying out loud, what we're saying to ourselves, and this is why this is so important because we have the opportunity to shift our dialogue, both internal and external, and actively create a different reality as a collective. It can start with ourselves, like, hey, it's important for me to create a new reality for myself because I deserve that. And then that extends outward into our inner circle, our friends, our family, the people we're connecting with the most often, our team members, our clients. They start to catch on to the little changes that are made in conversation. And then all of a sudden, we're creating a new reality for this generation. And then all of a sudden, the children that we're raising, we're teaching them a new style of language and creating a new reality for the generations to come. And so this is big, like, this is important. And a couple of the little changes just to provide something tangible is going from I want this. I really want a bigger house. I want to be in this place of financial freedom. I want to be helping more people. I want to feel better in my body to I claim this reality for myself. And to be able to change from I'm working on this, I'm working towards my business, I'm working towards like feeling better, I'm working towards like procrastinating less into I claim this financial abundance. I claim this amount of money. I claim this type of relationship. I claim this feeling within my body. I claim this relationship to my emotions and being descriptive. I claim this. I choose this instead of I'm working towards it, I'm trying to make it happen. Because when you speak that out loud, you are declaring that as your reality, that you will continue to loop in that cycle of wanting it, which is the state of not having it, which is lacking what you actually want and desire, or working on it. You're declaring that you're going to continue looping in that cycle of working on it instead of declaring the actual arrival of it.
Dude, this is so big.
It's
This
so
is so
big.
big. I love the word claim. I don't use that, and I'm going to start
Yeah.
because there's such a there's like an ownership and this like yeah, it feels so healthy. Like that word feels so healthy and so powerful, not like power over, but just like power within type of
Hmm.
word.
Hmm.
And then choosing, choice.
Yeah.
This is something that talk to my students about all the time is our power to choose. We've lost it. Where did it go?
Yeah.
Like, we have the power to choose differently in every single moment.
Yeah.
Choose a different reality, choose another cut, choose to make more
Mm.
money, choice, choice, choice. So what is it eh, what is it within yourself, because I see you doing this, that gives yourself permission to claim and to choose the things that are most aligned with your heart?
Well, here's the thing is it takes a state change in order to do
Mm,
that in an embodied way. It's the same thing as with affirmations or mantras. You can say it, you can speak it. I'm healthy. I love
mm,
myself. But if you energetically feel resistance to that statement, then there's a shift that needs to happen for you to embody that true belief and feeling and like energetic match with what you're saying. So it takes a shift, it takes focus, and it takes releasing a lot of the old paradigms and like uh processing the emotions that are holding us back from fully like
mm.
believing that we deserve that and we are claiming that.
So important. So important. I make fun of affirmations a lot because I think they're a waste of time unless we are in that embodied state, that
Yeah.
energetically connected state that you're referring to. Because it's so true. It's like if we are looking in the mirror and saying, I'm worthy, I'm worthy, I'm worthy, I'm worthy, but our body, the memory of our body is saying a completely different narrative, that's
Mhm.
where people get stuck. They're like, I'm getting stuck. I'm
Yeah.
stuck.
Yeah, so this whole this whole paradigm shift into conscious language is more than saying it to yourself. It's more than
Mm,
saying it to other people. It is also that paradigm shift of matching your state of being into it. And that may
mhm,
take time. That may
mhm,
like the book goes through everything. I can't dive into like all the nitty gritty, but another thing that it touches on is like vagueness into specificity. I always
mhm,
have a hard time with that word, but like it's not just claiming, okay, I claim that I'm going to feel healthy in my body. What does that actually mean? What does that actually feel like? And being able to get into the nitty gritty details of like who, when, how, why, what, like everything,
mhm,
and then claiming that. And in order to claim that, like you, then the like step by step of getting all of those details, creating all of those details, that is a journey into the state change in itself. Does that make sense?
totally, totally. Before you read this book, this must have been last year, you put something on your Instagram stories and you were so incredibly detailed about the type of person that you are. Do you remember
Mhm.
this? You were like, "I am the type of person who do, 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 do. I'm the type of person who," and you wrote like, I don't know, 20 lines. Do you remember when
Yeah.
you did this?
I don't remember, but this is like a practice that I kind of do all the time. It's
Mm,
what I call like uh, state of consciousness journaling or
okay.
stream of consciousness journaling, where I'm just like opening up the gateway, letting myself connect to what I desire in whether it's in myself, embodying certain practices, certain connections with other people, relationships, career, like client
Mm,
stuff, whatever. And I just fucking let it rip. I get
mm,
so detailed. I'm like, let me just get into this reality and the
yeah.
state of being and all of the details of how it feels and what I experience and what they experience and what I'm thinking and what other, like everything. And that that is a state change in itself.
Mm. Do you feel some people resist that practice because there's a part of them that doesn't believe that it's actually true or it will come true?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like that practice for me is like this combination of like writing gratitude, feeling grateful for the things that I already am experiencing and weaving that in with what I have yet to experience, but that I am already expressing gratitude for experiencing in the future. And so a part of my mind knows, oh yeah, part of this is true, part of this technically isn't my reality yet, but I'm saying hypothetically a month from now, a year from now, this is my reality and I'm so grateful that that is my reality in the future.
You said something there. I just want to highlight it because it's so important. It's the gratitude of the thing before the thing shows up.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think that oftentimes people's journals and diaries are filled with rants and frustration, which is like totally, helpful to like express.
Mm.
I think it would be more helpful to like feel the feel instead of like writing about it and like journaling it about it or talking to other people about it. I think verbal processing is healthy. Yes, processing the emotion is for sure needed. But then there's this whole other realm of like, okay, enough of the what you don't want. What do you want? And how can you immerse yourself in that so often?
Mm. You're a huge energy work fan,
Oh, yeah.
which I know and love about you.
Sam, you introduced me to energy work, dude, which literally changed my life. Like,
That's
you
right.
were that conduit for me.
Mm. How would you explain it? My audience asks me this all the time. Sam, what is energy work? What is energy work? How is energy work different than blah, blah, blah? How would
Mm.
you explain what energy work is?
La, 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 la. Energy work. Energy work. Yeah, it's so intangible, but the results are so, it's like energy work is this secret thing that is starting to come out. Like the secret is just getting leaked here and there and here and there. And it's this realm that like, there's energy workers who have different methods and processes and gifts that they're sharing with their clients. But ultimately, it's accessing more of who we really are and literally processing and healing the illusions and old paradigms and conditioning and releasing that like one after another, and then being able to experience more of who we are because we don't have that covering us up and like acting like a veil in front of our face. It like clears the fog in what and how we see our external reality and how we feel in our internal reality.
That was a beautiful explanation. You have a very elegant way of putting emotionality into words, which is why I really wanted to ask you that question. So thank you.
Yeah.
Because it is very elusive. It's not concrete. It can't be explained to the structured mind very easily,
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
man.
I think that Andrew is my energy worker who you have worked with a lot as well. And something that he shared with me recently is like energy work is not the cycle and the loop of personal development or healing. The point of it is not to fix yourself. The point of it is to use these certain methods and practices and gifts as tools to help you experience uh, life from like a more awakened state, a more alive
Mm,
state.
mm.
So I feel like that's important too for anyone who's like, what is this? Like, maybe it could help me fix this or help me work through this. Yeah, it can help create more ease in the journey and like accelerate clearing things out and experiencing more of your potential. But it's not there to like fix you because you already are perfect.
I remember when I first started seeing Andrew, it was probably 5 years ago now. My intent for going to him was damage control. Like, Andrew, I'm emotionally broken. Please
Yeah.
fix me. And this was a really hard thing for me to get over because I first had to recognize that I'm not broken and I'm not something to be fixed and that I am innately worthy, whole, and perfect. And there were just layers and conditioning and beliefs that was preventing me from really feeling that truth and feeling that light and feeling that
Hmm.
joy. And so that was a complete identity shift for me in completely uprooting this narrative that I am broken and need to be fixed and Andrew's my savior and please help me,
Yeah. Yeah.
into him completely giving me back my power to say, you have everything it takes. And
Yeah.
I'm just going to point and name distortions in your system that are preventing you from feeling your true nature, which just is love and light.
Yeah. Andrew does a really beautiful job at that. And I think that any true leader and guide does a really good job at showing their clients that they have the power. And like I'm simply here to point out some blind spots and to offer a guiding hand along the journey, but I'm so not here to fix
Mm,
because it's not needed.
mhm.
Yeah.
It takes a shift in identity for us to get to that place. And I think that is one of the hardest things for people to get amongst is our shift in identities because our identities keep us safe even though they're distorted. So the
Mm,
identity of I'm broken and need to be fixed, the identity of I am unworthy, the identity of whatever it is.
yeah.
Identities are hard to shift. Even the identity of I'm a raw vegan. Oh, now I'm a carnivore.
Yeah,
That's a
dude.
radical shift in identity. You have a fluidity with this, a fluidity in shifting identity to create more alignment, deeper alignment. And I know that's what you help your students with in Alignment Accelerator is cultivating that alignment, cultivating that like the purity of the identity that's most connected to our soul.
Mm.
What's your belief system around that allows you to have fluidity in that?
Yeah. Oh, this is such a good question because for so long I was like freaking identity queen over there. Like one side of the spectrum to the other side of the spectrum, then over here, like changing this radically to this, like always identifying as this is me. This diet is me. This outfit is me. This place I live is me. All of it. And yeah, in the last few years, allowing that to crumble was a very terrifying experience, but also so life-giving because it allowed me to see who I am underneath all of these different changes, all of these different human things, like who my soul essence essentially. Or in my program, what I call the true essence, your true essence. Who are you underneath who the world told you that you should be? Underneath all that conditioning, underneath the identities. Like, if you change something radical in your life, who are you? Can you know who you are, like, no matter what happens? And yeah. Was there a question that you asked me?
That was just it. It's like just your frame, your mindset on that. And I think
Mm,
people stay in situations for far too long because they're addicted to the identity.
yeah.
Right? If you look at it in relationships, it's like, I don't want to leave him because it means that I am single, even though he's a piece of shit.
Yeah. No, there's so many different layers to that. It's like, I don't want to make this change because what are the other people going to think about me shifting that identity? And it's like, no, 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 no. We lost the whole point. We're humans, we're social beings. We love each other. Well, we love each other for our essence. And if someone does not love you for your essence, but they love you for an identity, that's a clearing out process that needs to happen. But I think oftentimes we create this fear in our mind of like, what if this other person thinks this? And it's like, let's cut the bullshit and just ask them, hey, if I make this change in my life that's gonna support me for the better, do you love me for who I am? Or do you love me for that thing? Are you going to leave? Is there going to be a judgment there? I have a story that you're going to think this. And just like cut through the bullshit and ask the person instead of like living in that fear of what may happen when you literally have no idea until you ask, speak into it, make the change.
You have a great capacity for courageous conversations
Mm.
and going to those places, you
I
know?
love it. I love it so much. And some people are like, I hate that. It's the worst ever.
It is incredible. You do such a great job of it, of like cultivating. Well, my assumption is cultivating the safety in your body to know that you're safe in the relationship no matter what. And
Mm,
then going into the conversation and saying the thing,
yeah.
doing the thing, asking
Yeah.
for the thing.
Mm.
Where does that come from?
Oof. Okay. So when you were speaking into that, I'm like, okay, yes, I have the safety in my body that everything's okay. But there's one point in my life that I think I got over this huge hurdle, which was which was back when I was in college and I so badly wanted to drop out of school. I was like, this system, this isn't working for me. I want to start my own business, move to Hawaii, blah, blah, blah. And my mentor shared with me at the time, he was like, you don't need the approval or acceptance from anyone in order to do this, in order to follow your dreams, to pursue your own path. And that was a big wake up call for me. And what that allowed me to do was completely detach from the need to be approved of and like cheered on by my parents, because my parents were like, if you make this decision, like all our support goes out the door. Like you're on your own, kid. And so if I really wanted to create my reality, I needed to create that safety and assurance in myself, even if there was uncertainty, even if I like I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what it took to move to a new place across the Pacific Ocean with like barely any money or belongings in my name. But if I wanted that reality that I wanted, I needed to create that like what I like to call like being my own biggest cheerleader. And I think that level of safety, security, confidence in the uncertain times is needed in order to have those tough conversations. It's kind of like you have to have yourself and be unattached to the outcome. That if that person says, yeah, actually, fuck this friendship, if you're going to make that change in identity, that you're actually okay with yourself. Like that courage is needed.
That's so powerful. And I think that's one of the greatest qualities we can cultivate as humans is that thing.
Yeah.
It's like an undeniable self trust, or it's not even like trusting yourself. It's just like glimpsing your true essence and marinating in your true essence enough to know that no matter what, you're good. You
Yeah.
could lose all your friends and you're good. You could lose all your money and you're good. You could lose your relationship or your house or whatever you value and you're
Yeah.
still good.
Yeah, and if anyone's listening and you're like, "Cool, how the fuck do I marinate in my true essence and find that courage?" You have to be committed to doing that. Like for me, I, for lack of other words, reconditioned and brainwashed myself to believing in myself. I became my biggest cheerleader and supporter, validating myself, affirming myself. Sam, I know you got some affirmation stuff, but I conditioned my mindset, and I'm like, I've got this. I believe in myself. I can do this. I am worthy. I am deserving. I've got this. What like all of the different things, and that helped a lot to be that number one cheerleader for myself day in, day out. And that's a tool that I return to whenever I'm like, oh, can I make this happen? Or like, oh, I'm scared of this change. Like, I get to step back in, and instead of identifying with my inner critic and being like, what if this goes wrong? What if this goes wrong? What if the person says this? And then what if I have no friends? And then, no, I spend less time in that arena and more time in the arena of like, what if it all works out perfectly?
And let's be mindful, everyone, that she did this and she was her own best cheerleader while the world was reflecting a different narrative.
Mm, yeah.
And some people struggle with this when there is no narrative being reflected. So the fact that you did it in the face of hundreds of videos reflecting a completely different narrative is just
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah, and it wasn't like rainbows and sunshine the whole time. Like there were certain things people would say about me, and I'm like, "Oh, fuck, is that my intention? Am I fucked up?" And like the whole mind fuck of it all. There were days that I was very confused and very like overwhelmed by everything that was going on, but it was my ability to bounce back into believing in myself and knowing who I am that definitely carried me through.
Why are vegans on YouTube so intense?
Uh, they're passionate. Like just with anyone who's so intense, like they're standing for something or they're standing against something. And so vegans are passionate people.
Yeah. Yeah, they really are. They really are. In some way, I'm like, wow, like I admire passion no matter what it is. I don't care if you're passionate about like whatever crystals or you're passionate about vegetables, whatever, animals obviously. It's like
Yeah.
I admire passion. And my curiosity is, can we have ruthless passion without hate?
Well, here's where I think the solution is standing for something instead of standing against something.
No, that's
When somebody's standing against animal cruelty or putting this in your body, then they're standing they're tearing people down because of that, instead of I stand for compassionate eating, I stand for compassionate living, I stand for treating all beings with compassion. And then when you stand for that, you realize, oh my gosh, that means I need to treat this person with compassion instead of standing against something and like lashing out, if that makes sense.
totally makes sense. Totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that reframe. It's so powerful. It's so powerful because it is beautiful to stand for things.
Yeah, I mean, that's how change is created. But to
Mm.
stand against something, yeah, it's a different method. I think a lot of people get on board with that get on board with that wagon. I don't know. A lot of people like take that method. But I see like the real opportunity for change is coming for standing for what you want. Cause then, oh, look, we circle back around full circle to conscious language. You're speaking into what you desire and creating that reality instead of speaking into existence what you actually hate.
Do you think it's because of the level of consciousness we're at the planet? We think that we need to fight with fear in order to create radical change, and we haven't yet gotten on board with the love creates change wagon?
100%. Yeah, 100%. I mean, you look at like certain riots and people are like screaming things in the streets or have things on the signs and it's like, yo, what are you shouting from the rooftops? Is it what you literally don't want or is it what you do want? You
Mm.
know? I do think it's a level of consciousness and I do think that more and more people are waking up to it.
I agree. I agree. I feel like I speak to this topic on a lot of the podcasts, a lot of the guests that I've had on recently of this whole idea that the world is waking up, even though we're in the darkness a little bit right now. There is this radical waking up, this rise of consciousness that is happening. You know, you spoke to, oh, more and more people are talking about energy work. You know,
Mm.
and in my world of breath work, more and more people are talking about breath work. That trend is going up. Like, are we getting more curious? Are we waking up? I think so. I think so.
Well, here's a cool question is like, what narrative and what belief feels better? Does the narrative and belief of like the world is going to shit, everything's fucked up, like it's going downhill, does that feel good? Does that
Mm-mm.
feel like what you want to subscribe to? Or does the belief and narrative of like, yo, we're waking up, like people are catching on to it, more unity, more connection, more
Yeah,
understanding, that feels much better to me.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's casting the vision, creating. Hang on one sec. Do you hear the train?
Oh, yeah.
One sec, Caroline. If you just want to cut that out, please. Thanks. Hmm. It's casting a vision of what's actually possible because that's great leadership, right? Casting a vision of here's what's possible for the world, here's what I see in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And for me personally, it's like those visions come through meditation. I don't yet see that reality in the world right
Mm,
now, but I
yeah.
absolutely know that it exists because I get visions of it of wow, where we're going is actually really incredible. And I don't have the mirror to reflect and give me evidence in this 3D reality. So let me sort of go up a little bit
Mm,
into meditation so I can keep glimpsing this
mm.
new vision of what's possible.
Yeah. Oh, it's so interesting when you say that. What I am hearing is like when you're the most still and the most connected to divinity, the visions of the world expanding, more unity, more connection, a more awakened state comes through. And it's not when you're in those peaceful, connected moments that
Mm,
terror and lack and like the darkness comes through.
mm.
When that stuff is present, we are in survival mode, in fear based living. And I think it's just that's such a key indicator. When you're connected, when you're in that meditative state, that's what's real. That's what's truth.
Oh, so good. Dude, I've missed these conversations. You guys, Alyse and I
Oh,
used to have these conversations like on the daily when we
I
lived together.
know.
Oh, it
And
was
here we
so
are
good.
now looking at each other's beautiful faces on Zoom.
Across the country from each other. Not for long, hopefully.
Not for long.
All right, my love. Well, as we are coming to the top of the hour, what is one last thing that you would love to share from your heart that feels alive and relevant?
Ooh, I know what it is. Okay, here's what it is. This feels so relevant to me recently. This has just been like top of mind awareness. The importance of taking it one step further than cognitively knowing and understanding something, but being able to actually integrate certain cognitive realizations and mindset like epiphanies into our body, into our being, and integrate it so that we are an embodied walking example of the things that we cognitively know, that we cognitively get. Like, oh, that aha moment. Yeah, but what are you doing behind the scenes to integrate that realization into your life? And so I think there's just like one simple question you can ask yourself when you have a realization of like, oh, I deserve to be treated better in my relationship. Okay, cool. What's my integration action step for how I can bring that through and embody that knowing of I deserve to be treated better?
This is so key.
Yeah.
This is so key. Something I've been saying for years now is consumption without integration creates frustration. So, with
Mm,
the lack of the embodiment, the lack of the integration that you're naming, we get like annoyed, like, oh,
yeah.
why is this not working?
Yeah. Oh, I thought I just needed to learn more things. And
Mm,
why is my life still not changing? Because there's a key step there of you are the conduit and the like little in between step that you get to create that change in your life by asking yourself, okay, what's a little integration action step? And like make it fun. Like, oh, get excited. I'm about to create change in my life instead of just
mm,
knowing it, but like being it.
mm. I feel that the industry is heading in that direction. I don't feel like we're there yet as a whole when it comes to
Yeah.
personal development and spiritual development. I grew up in the Tony Robbins world, so it was very mindset stuff, very like, what I know to be true is Tony himself is very embodied,
Mm,
but people get the mindset stuff more than they get the embodiment work.
yeah.
So it's like a beautiful gateway. And my vision, my intention is that people get the mindset stuff and then they start to really spiral
Yeah.
down into the
Yeah,
body.
absolutely. I mean, I think we're like a
Mm,
mind heavy society,
mhm,
at least like in America. Um and that's the direction we're going is like creating more balance with the mind, body, soul. And so it makes sense that we're first understanding it in the mind and then our next step is like bringing it into fruition, into that embodiment.
mm.
And like that creates such a natural confidence in yourself when you know that you're a walking example of the things that you cognitively know.
Yes. That oh, this is full circle. Remember when I first opened up the show and I said, "You have this radiance, this thing about you, this power."
Ooh, yeah.
That's what that is like, your shit and you
Yeah.
embody it and you live it. So it creates this like beautiful power that just shines. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
And you don't need to you can, but you don't need to shout anything from the rooftops when you embody it because your energy alone, your way of being, someone can be in the same room as you and learn so much from you without even needing to ask a question. And that's such a different level of leadership and like creating change in the world than somebody who's like telling and teaching all of the things, but
yes.
not embodying it.
Yes. 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 Yes.
And you do
You
this too, Sam. Like you are like literally my biggest inspiration for morning routine and like the self-care habits on the daily, caring
mm.
for yourself in all these different ways. Like red light, meditation, exercise, eating healthy, like you walk the talk and you can teach about it. You can share like, "Oh, here's a banana I'm eating or here's the tea I'm making," which you do sometimes, but like there's this level, this way of being that you have because that's what's happening behind the scenes because you're embodying all these different things
Mm.
and breath work. Like, oh my gosh, guys, when I lived with Sam, the amount of times I'd hear her going up and down the hallways, like, yo, she walks the talk. And that's why you have this influence and this magnetism.
Aw, thanks, boo. I love it. I
I
love
love
it.
you, baby.
I love you, baby. This is so fun. Oh my God. I freaking miss you so much.
I miss you
I
too.
can't wait to hug you. It's going to be dope. You have an epic YouTube channel, like massive YouTube channel. You have an incredible Instagram. Where's the best place for people to connect with you? Because I know after this conversation, they're going to be like, get me some of this.
Okay, if you want to get yourself some of this, you can go on over to youtube.com/ no, just kidding. Um, yeah, if you search my name, Alyse, on any social platform, it'll either be Alyse or Alyse Parker. And I'm definitely most active on Instagram. So check that out. And I'm not going to say I think. Look at this. I will walk the talk with changing my language to conscious language. I am creating my own podcast, so that'll be fun. And Sam, you're definitely going to be one of
Yes.
my very first interviews, and we're going to make it
Ah,
fun.
dude, podcasting is the best. I just get to have amazing conversations with incredible people and share awesome stuff with my audience. It's so much fun.
I
That's funny,
know.
dude. I'm getting into YouTube next and you're getting into podcasting.
Yes, this is fun. We can share our tips and tricks.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I
Mhm.
love it.
I
All
love it.
right, you beautiful people, go ahead and take a screenshot of this podcast. Tag at Alyse on Instagram. It's just ALYSE
Yeah,
at
baby.
Samantha Skelly. I don't have at Samantha yet. Maybe one day we'll try. We'll try.
Oh, what? It's happening. It's
Oh,
happened.
that's right. That's right. I claim that I will have at Samantha soon.
I claim that I am at Samantha.
I claim that I am at Samantha.
And if we get
Awesome.
everyone who's listening right now to say that out loud and feel the truth of it, dude,
Mm.
it'll fucking happen tomorrow.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it.
Thank you for having me on as your guest. This has been so
You
fun.
are so welcome. Go ahead and share your favorite takeaway over there on the gram, and we'll meet you over there. Have a beautiful day, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.